3 other states, Uttarakhand, Gujarat and Jammu and Kashmir, have joined the growing list of states that have decided to ban Maggi. There are obviously no instant solutions, certainly not any 2-minute ones, to rebuilding a broken brand. But on this program today, we ask whether it's fair to concentrate only on Maggi. Shouldn't this be an opportunity to look at other brands as well? Why is Maggi facing all the flack? And is this an opportunity to clean up the food we eat? Let's introduce our panel this evening. With me in the studio, Dr. Sunita Narayan with the Centre for Science and Environment. The CSE, of course, a few years ago tested several food items, including Maggi, and we'll hear about that in just a moment. Also with me in the studio, Ishi Khosla, well-known nutritionist. And joining me, Dilip Cherian. He's a brand and image guru. And Gurcharan Das, the former CEO of Procter & Gamble, at a time when multinationals are back to being the big evil word in our lexicon. Sunita, I'll start with you. The fact of the matter is the average person who eats Maggi, somebody like me, doesn't necessarily get the science of it. What do I want to know? What does a parent want to know? What does a child want to know? Is this safe?
But that's exactly the question. I think, you know, Parka, everywhere in the world, when you have a packet that you're picking
holding
up,
a Maggi packet,
I'm holding a Maggi packet. You are expected to put very clearly, not in the point size and the font size that they have put over here. You're expected to put how much of this packet is in relation to your daily diet. Now, we know when we tested Maggi, we know that one packet of Maggi has about 70 to 80% of the salt that you should be eating in a day. Now, because the government of India, and that is the weakness of the government of India as well, does not make it mandatory for Maggi to put on the packet how much salt it contains. It does not say here that this is 70% of your daily quota.
So you're saying when I have one packet of Maggi, I'm actually have only about 20% space left to have salt?
You should be having boiled vegetables for the rest of the day.
Good grief.
Yes.
You just killed my appetite.
No, but I think that's what children, listen, let's be very clear.
But seriously,
salt, sugar, fat today are one of the biggest issues. Obesity is being seen as a pandemic. And a company like Maggi, now this is where responsible brands have to play a role.
So you're saying the labeling is misleading?
The labeling is not just misleading, I think it's mischievous. They put here how much sugar they have, knowing that they don't have any, so they say minus sugar. But they don't put the salt because government doesn't ask them to do so, and because they're not a responsible brand.
And many of the questions that have to be put today are not just to Nestle, but to the government, to those, to food safety officers. Why was this not detected earlier if indeed there was lead in MSG and salt that was not properly labelled? Gurcharan Das, as you know, the relationship between a consumer and a brand is built on trust. The point is, at the moment, that trust is broken down. Is the media, is public opinion being unfair in singling out Maggi? What do you think?
Well, I think Maggi is being unfairly targeted.
What do you mean?
I mean, Nestle makes the safest products in the world. And these Maggi noodles are sold in 150 countries. And they've been sold in India for 35 years. And they're the brand leader. So it's a soft target. And frankly, I think there's a bit of a storm in a teacup here.
How is it a soft target? How is it a soft target? You know, I remember in the 70s, Nestle used to... One minute, Gurcharan. In the 70s, there was that famous controversy or infamous controversy when Nestle actually promoted milk formula over breast milk. We've had an incident of larvae being found in Nestle milk powder just in the last few days. What is so soft about a multinational company that earns in the thousands of crores? How is that a soft target?
It's not the earning in the thousands of crores, Barkha. I've known Nestle very long. I've competed against Nestle in many countries. And it is the sort of tests that they do are far greater. The noodles that you'll find on the street in Delhi are far more dangerous to eat than Maggi noodles. And so what I'm saying is, yes, I think we need to see finally the controversy about the tests, and we need to find out where these lead, etc., came from. But I would say that is not how this company behaves around the world. Now, if I were in the place of this company, I would have jumped in and I would have been a lot more aggressive in defending myself. But the fact is here, what you've got is it's been badly handled by both sides. The government has created panic among the people with talk of prosecutions. And frankly, at the end of the day, you know, it's a diversion from our real issues.
Now, hang on. The food, the safety of the food we eat is a real issue.
Yeah,
Good, Sharon. The safety of what we
real
eat
issue.
It matters to people above politics, the value of the rupee.
I said that.
Economic reform. It's a rosy roti ka sawal in a way. I mean, Maggi is not a rich person's food. Everybody eats Maggi. Now you have a situation where the army is telling its soldiers don't eat Maggi.
I don't pit, you know, these informal, chola walas on the street with Maggi.
Before you interrupt, whoever is interrupting me,
Sunita is trying to make a point. Okay,
can I just...
Yeah, complete your point and the others are waiting.
Can I just finish?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just quickly, I want to say that it sounds to me like a diversion from our real problems. Delhi has been declared the most polluted city in the world. And if I were the Chief Minister of Delhi, I would be worrying about that rather than banning Maggi noodles, being the first state to ban
let me just bring
Maggi
in Dilip
and
Ishi and we'll come
back. No one's going to die
with that. Okay, Dilip, the
but
fact...
people are going to die with bad air and bad water.
Dilip, when a brand is under attack, it's no point actually saying, why are you singling me out? The fact of the matter is that Maggi was iconic. It became like a kind of, a shorthand for all noodles. And so today, maybe it's being attacked on the behalf of all processed food, right? So I don't think it's just about Maggi. I think this is a debate about processed food in general.
You know, I think that is where, it's simply ridiculous to isolate one brand or look at one kind of product. Where Sunita started from, look at a range of products, sort out the kind of labeling that products need to have, make sure that it's printed in a large enough size, and make sure that there is education around it. Today, India has a large consumer protection fund, and which funds a program called Grahak Jao. You know, it's these programs that need to get out there and inform people so that people are aware of what's going into their processed food.
But do you see, Dilip, but Gurcharan used the word panic. Do you believe the reaction to Maggi right now is precaution, is sensible precaution or paranoia? Is it sensible precaution or paranoia?
I would say that it is a sensible precaution because we need to see the test results. Once the test results tell you what it is, it should either be lifted or the product should be banned in total. I don't see halfway houses of 15 days unless it's taking 15 days to test this. You know, there is something drastically wrong if it takes so long to go through the process of testing a relatively simple product. The Nestle is saying that, laboratories don't have the ability to test MSG, they only test glucomate. So I think all these issues need to be put to rest, and we need to have sensible, aggression, and we need to move very quickly.
Okay, let me just bring in Ishi and then I'll take it back to Sunita. Ishi, actually it's staggering to hear Sunita saying that if you eat one plate of Maggi, that's about 80% of the salt intake you need. Most people will think it's just a snack. It's just one snack in the day. And my point at this moment is this going to reopen the debate, a much needed debate on the health of our food? Or is it just going to be about what Gurcharan is calling brand bashing?
I completely, my view on this is, it is giving you an opportunity to address food safety.
Yeah.
Food safety cannot be handled by one party. It is many systems together.
Yeah.
And in case in point with lead, for instance, it is an environmental pollutant. It has no business to be in our food. So we have to regulate where it's, we have to find out where it's coming from, and then lower the levels to levels which are permissible. So that's one part of it. And food safety is not only about food safety in terms of heavy metals, it could be in terms of other toxins, it could be microbial safety, it could be pesticides.
But the world over, how many of us actually read the label carefully?
That's the point, that it's not something which I can do at my level, sitting at home. I deserve safe food. So I leave it to somebody behind me to regulate.
And do you advise your people who come to you to eat Maggi? Would you allow it? Do you consider it safe?
You must be joking.
No, I'm just asking.
No question.
No. I'm not talking about weight loss and weight gain. Do you think it's safe food?
Absolutely. Well, like I said, safety has to be understood in various ways. It won't kill me in a day, but certainly it's not good for my health. So it's microbially safe, but it may not, you have lead in it, so you don't know. I mean, but my point is, it's not only processed food, which you just said.
Yeah.
It's food, it's the entire food chain, starting from your vegetables, starting from your milk, your meats, your eggs.
But then let me
you know, you can just see the Yamuna, you can see the vegetables which are being grown in contaminated waters.
Absolutely.
Are we controlling that lead? Are we controlling mercury there?
But you know, Gurcharan may argue, Sunita, picking up on Ishi's point, that that's exactly it. That we're not talking, we're making a holistic argument. We're not talking about water contamination. If I remember my figures correctly, a WHO study of water in 26 cities of India actually found that 31% of it was below par. Now, his argument is, how is it going to help by just talking about Maggi? We don't even know what the source of the lead is. Where is it coming from? Is it in the water? Where is it coming from?
That was
in the
exactly the issue when we tested colas. Okay?
Yeah.
Where did the pesticide come from?
Yes.
It came from the groundwater that the cola companies were sourcing.
Yes.
And they were not treating the groundwater and they were using it. Now, when we tested pesticides in groundwater, our issue was threefold. One, we wanted definitely standards for pesticide in colas.
Yeah.
We also wanted tighter standards for pesticide use across India, which is what one of the things that we asked the JPC and we did manage to get.
Yeah.
And the third is we asked for a food safety authority, which also we got, which is FSSAI. But we are not
then
getting...
how did the Food Safety Authority clear Maggi if it actually contains
But
lead?
I think that's
Now,
where
that's
our
the point, yeah.
You want to add to that, and then I want Gurcharan to come in. Yeah.
Simply because testing is not mandatory. Certain things are mandatory, certain
Exactly.
things are just good manufacturing practices. So if you do it, and then there's a cost to every test. So my point is, why don't we encourage manufacturers to label their food safe with respect to all these issues?
You were saying to Gurcharan, don't club street food or hawkers
See,
with
there's
this.
a
Why?
difference. There's difference. Again, when we've tested antibiotics in honey, we've tested. Every time we are told, what about all the air pollution in the air? What about all the street food and the dirty water there? Everything has to be improved. But there are different kinds of contaminations that we will have to deal with, okay? Air pollution is an issue. Mr. Das should know we are fighting very hard. And all the diesel manufacturers, if he has any work, if he can put in any word to them, they need to make sure that they can clean up their cars and reduce the emissions.
You're saying it's not either or. I'm hearing you say not either or. Let's bring in Gurcharan and Dilip.
It to be made
Gurcharan, go ahead. Gurcharan, how can you disagree with anything you've heard so far?
Look, no, I mean, I don't disagree. The fact is, I'm very worried about the quality of air and water in Delhi and the state of the Yamuna.
Yeah.
But to me, these are the real problems that we should be putting all our energies. And
Why
to
is
me,
it
this
either or?
Maggi controversy is a storm in the teacup.
Can I just
Okay.
We should be concerned with food standards.
Yeah.
What Sunita Narayan said about the salt, that education must take place.
So why
But
is
what
Maggi
you're
not
doing
it?
here is you're mixing all these things up into finding, and this is what Sunita Narayan did with Pepsi also. She found a soft target and she wanted some publicity. And that's what she got.
Come on,
and so I
Gurcharan.
don't want us
Come
to
on,
go
Gurcharan.
that route.
I mean, come on.
I'm
sorry.
I think
I'm
Sunita's,
sorry, but
I think Sunita's pretty well
did
known.
not-
I don't think she needs
I
to
did
need
not
this to get
agree
publicity.
Exactly
with
what
your
companies
stand.
deteriorate to. And it's so sad to hear this from Mr. Das. I have a lot of respect for him. Very sad to hear this from him. I think the issue today all over the world is food safety, both for nutrition as well as toxicity.
Yeah.
We are not new in this. We're not doing a good job. I think what we have to do is to ask companies to do a better job. Mexico has put a 10% soda tax. It has put an 8% tax on everything called junk food, including Maggi. It is essentially today, obesity is the world's biggest pandemic.
Yeah.
These companies that produce junk food are responsible
Let me get Dilip
for
in.
doing this.
Dilip, a junk food
I
tax.
think-
Dilip, a junk food tax.
I think I'm
Let
all
Dilip
in
speak.
favor. I'm all in favor of a junk food tax. It's high time we did it, and it's high time we also made sure that that junk food tax goes into educating teachers, parents,
I agree.
children on what they should be eating.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we are heading into a natural disaster which is man-made by our lack of concern for what is going into our systems.
Gurcharan, is it fair for you to personalize this and call Sunita a headline hunter when you're not?
No, I'm
you
sorry.
need to address the issue, not the person.
I did not mean that. I apologize.
Okay, okay.
I apologize.
Okay, okay.
What I wanted to say here is, first, I think we are mixing up two things. We're mixing up junk food and we are mixing up the food standards.
Yeah.
I think food standards, this debate,
Yeah,
the
that's
Maggi
fair.
debate,
Yeah.
one of the best things that's going to come out of this
Yeah.
is that it's putting attention on food standards, which are very, very important.
Good. No, I think I
At the
agree.
same time,
Yeah,
I
think
do
that's an important
believe
point.
that multinationals
Yeah.
are nice soft targets for environmentalists and do-gooders to go
He's
after.
back again.
And I
Well,
do
do-gooders
believe
is
that,
okay.
that
Do-gooders is
but he's
okay.
back again.
No, but Ishi, I think Gurcharan
Yeah,
makes one
I'm-
important point. You can't mix junk food with safety standards
absolutely.
because, and we must be careful about that, because McDonald's and KFC may be perfectly legal in meeting some safety standards, but they're still bad for you, right?
Totally, that's a different issue. Which
And
I said,
whatever's
which is I
bad
said
for you
safe
tastes
food is
delicious,
microbially
unfortunately,
safe,
but-
toxin safe,
Yeah.
and nutritionally safe.
But I think
They're three
food
different
standards
things.
start
One
with the
thing I just want to
recognition
point
of
out
what
here.
goes into you.
Yeah, that's a good point also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
That we're talking about environmental pollution. One
Yeah.
of the chief sources of lead is fumes and exhaust. We're talking of the environment. How does the environment get its lead? It's
Yeah.
from petroleum.
Yeah.
It's from lead batteries. It's from paint.
But we have to start somewhere, right?
So
We can't,
that's
like,
air
let
quality
perfect not be
point-
the enemy of good. We have to
The
start
air-
somewhere.
Air quality is a very valid point.
Okay, I have time just for 30 seconds to all of you. Sunita, I'll start with you.
No, it's very important for us to have safety standards for our food, and it is also important that the Nestle issue is dealt with so that Nestle, if indeed governments are finding lead high,
Yeah.
they need to deal with it. They need to make sure that companies can't get away with this.
Okay.
And they need to improve standards for safety.
Dilip, 30 seconds.
I think that we need to also have a much larger battery of testing facilities
Yeah.
which can be relied on, because we can't afford these delays. Testing needs to be regular. Testing must not mean an inspector Raj, but it must mean safety for the consumer.
Gurcharan.
Look, if Nestle is guilty, they should be punished. There's no question about it. But all I'm trying to say is that the Minister for Consumer Affairs, Mr. Paswan, comes from Bihar. He is the one who has talked about prosecuting Nestle. Now, I would ask him that this is an opportunity for him to think about the food and the water that people on the street are eating in Bihar. And that's really what, if this controversy achieves that,
But Mr.
that's
Das,
a much
Mr.
more
Das,
important
Mr.
gain
Das,
for us
Mr. Das,
than
highly
for
Gurcharan,
getting
Gurcharan,
headlines
Sunita saying you're
with
being
Nestle.
patronizing and
And
insulting, but let me
insulting.
add a question. I know we're at the end, but let me add a question. Are we really going to compare what, Nestle has the money, Nestle has the resources to supply a safe
Nestle
product.
says
A
they're
poor
responsible.
vendor on the street may not have those resources. Why would you compare some hawker with this multi-billion-dollar company called Nestle?
Absolutely.
I don't think it's a question of comparison. The person who's eating the food, who is going to die from food that's unsafe?
we
So
need
whoever
both
makes
fixed.
it is
Okay.
liable
About
for that.
ignoring that.
And we
Yeah,
should be
it's not about
concerned
ignoring.
about the safety of all our food
Okay.
and not only food made by Nestle.
Okay, quickly. 30 seconds and Sunita, you can get a last word in.
Safe food is a priority, should be made a priority for all the food manufacturers, but the regulation for doing this is very important. The environmental protection agencies have to kick in,
Yeah.
and the health authorities need to do their job, and the implementation of these things at the ground needs to be done.
Sunita, quickly.
I think, Barkha, time and again, the one thing that is clear is that Indians care about the quality of their food, and they need all food improved.
Yeah.
But stop pitting the large companies who are aggressive in marketing. They don't have Madhuri Dixit's and Amitabh Bachchan's going out there and telling you this is healthy to eat. It has enough salt that it would give you hypertension. And if indeed it has the lead, then the company is both irresponsible for salt as well as lead. So let's not try and pit the small versus the big.
We'll leave
here.
it there. I think what we can agree on is that this should be an opportunity to have a larger conversation about the entire food chain, about the air we breathe, the water we
Absolutely.
drink, and the food on our table. And even when you say something's organic, is it really organic? We actually don't know how our food is sourced, and that is so important. So we hope that this controversy around Maggi starts that debate. We leave it there. Dilip Cherry and Gurcharan Das, Ishi Khosla, Sunita Narayan, thank you for joining us on the Buck Stops here. And that's it on the program tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. See you then. Goodbye.